and condoms are going as well. So that's the hopeful versus those who know better and won't get COVID. So anyway, there we are. We are now live. Coming to you live with Martha Carr in Austin, Texas. I am in a hotel in Fairbanks, Alaska. How are you doing today, Martha?
I'm doing better. The second antibiotic seems to be working. I'm very hopeful.
Yes, Martha had. Why don't you explain what you had, if that's okay?
I've had pneumonia for about a month. The first antibiotic didn't seem to work, so they gave me a second one, and that's pretty much it. I've just been doing my best to not give into it, but also keeping a social distance for my own sake as well as for others, just in case I do have it. I don't want to accidentally give. Well, I don't want to give pneumonia to anybody else either. But just since there's not a lot of testing here in Austin, I just want to be careful about others.
Yeah. I think you probably had just the run-of-the-mill pneumonia.
Vanilla pneumonia.
Vanilla, yeah, because it was only in one lung. It probably wasn't interstitial, which is something that.
And there's no fever.
That's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
We're happy that you're well. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about rewriting a series, which is something you've been doing recently with your Lyra Chronicles, right?
Right. Correct.
Talk about first the trigger. What point did you decide that I'm going to rewrite this series, that it has enough value to rewrite?
So the Lyra Chronicles originally started coming out in July of 2017, which in book world is a long time ago. And somewhere towards the end of last year, we put the books into 2 box sets, and we put them at 99 cents. And covers by Jake, and for some reason, lots and lots and lots of people started finding it, and it became a bestseller again. And there had already been a lot of requests from fans who'd known the series all along that they wanted more Yumfuck. And so the idea came to Michael and I to add new content to the original 8, and I'm going to rework the next 4, and then there's brand new books coming as well. And so it was really prompted by how much of a resurgence it's had and how much even the new fans were asking for more. Okay,
so you said you're rewriting 4. Is that the last 4 in the series, or is that the next 4? Okay.
The last 4. So that I've got an entire plot line in mind, and so it's all going to line up and give more. I've had some time to think about it, so I know some ideas I'd like to add in. That's Lois Lane in the background. She's making sure no one walks by the house unnoticed.
That's every teleconference that happens nowadays. I'm sure that's very common.
Yeah, and she's deaf, so there's no point in yelling. It would only benefit me, not her.
Yeah, there's no benefit to that. Oh, it's a good puppy.
She knows hand signals, but she's not going to come close enough because she's also smart and she doesn't want to stop.
Okay.
We have questions too for when people join the Orsarin fan club. We have a question: who's your favorite character? And there's multitudes that they could pick from, and the new fans are consistently saying Lyra. So it occurred to me that I am very fortunate to have this one really big hit series. And so why keep trying to reinvent the wheel when people are clearly asking for more of this one, who I still love, still have stories to tell. So why wouldn't I join in? They love the characters. They love the minor characters like Estelle. She's an older person, constantly smoking with a red beehive and runs the bar. Yeah, and people love her. So, why not write that? I love her too.
Cool. But a successful series, and hey, let's keep it going because it's successful, it's selling. Where's the trigger point that said that over top of new series? Because you have a number of new series that just came out as well.
That are also doing well, thankfully.
Yes.
It's because of how well it was doing. At one point, it was outselling everything and held that position for quite some time. and it's still selling vigorously. So, it, you know, and it was the same marketing that we were doing with other series, but this one jumped to the head of the line. At one point, I think it was the top seller at LMBPN, and you know, there's a lot of books out of LMBPN, and yet this one stood at the head of the line. So, I mean, they couldn't have made it more obvious that this was a good place to turn back and look and see, are there stories to tell? Can we add things? And there hasn't been a week that hasn't gone by that someone said, I want more Yumfuck.
Okay. And that's Yumfuck Tiberius Troll.
Yes. Good for you. Good for you, Craig.
Do you have one of him made somewhere?
Yeah. You want me to go and get him?
Yeah. Go and get him.
All right. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yes, I shall.
Kitchen behind me. This is the kitchen.
The kitchen. It's clean, and for all of those watching, Martha initially had her backdrop as Venetian blinds, and I said, looks too much like a prison. So she shifted around, and of course went into her kitchen and cleaned up real quick before we went live, because she couldn't have anybody see that she had one dish on the counter, for Pete's sake. Obviously, she doesn't understand how the rest of us work. I did put on pants for this, by the way, so I have that. And there we have it.
Here we have the troll, and because there have been talks from time to time about making a doll. That's another request we get constantly. So that's what we've got so far. I'll be at 20 Books Vegas, by the way, with troll pins and troll stickers to hand out. I'll be troll decorated to give out to everybody. Score.
There we go. For that troll, okay, merchandise. You had him modeled specifically. That's not a purchased or anything. So that's you had him modeled. So you own that. That is not a
LMBPN owns it.
LMBPN owns it. So how did you get that made?
Michael and Judith, his wife, have been visiting. Michael Anderle and Judith Anderle were in China a long time ago, long before the virus, and were talking about what, like Bethany Ann was another one that they had a model made up of. And with what's happening is, with the series that are clearly becoming more iconic than just a best-selling series, we're trying to create more of an experience for the reader so that you can adopt it. I mean, there are people on Facebook whose Facebook profile picture is the troll wearing a mask and cape. But
that's cool. That's cool. Also, I remember, if I remember correctly, 20 Books London, that we had a cosplayer of Lyra, and she looked like her. I mean, Erica did a great job.
Yes, Erica. Yes. And also, in that picture with Mark Dawson, I'm wearing a T-shirt that spells out in the Elementals, "Don't Be a Hater," and that was Erica got that for me, because that's in the book where a character's wearing that shirt. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. If you have a series where fans are participating on their own dime and are talking to each other, and they're creating plot lines for you. I mean, it took me a while, but pay attention to that, and go with the experience. And I can see myself writing somehow Lyra-related stories, at least for the next this year and next, because another request I get constantly is for the years that we skipped, the 20 years we skipped where Izzy was little, and then also for Izzy as an adult. So that's coming too.
Good. And that's, I'll tell you, listening to your readers, that's one thing I am hard over on. Once I learned which readers to listen to and which not to listen to, because one of them asked, hey, what about some plot ideas? And one said, well, what if an AI committed a crime? And that simple one led to probably one of the best books I've ever written.
Oh, great!
Which then I have just rewritten it to be a standalone. So the rewriting was only just clarifying and adding. So if I threw in a character that everybody should know, I then added who that character was for new readers who jump in. It's the 6th book of the series. So new readers who jumped in, and that's the one I'm pushing for the Dragon Award for the best science fiction novel of the year, Fratricide. but I rewrote that to fit a different demographic while also feeding my regular fans. And it came from what if. I love what ifs as questions. And I currently have a series, my mystery series that is unpublished. We unpublished that back in December. Ryan Schwartz did a great job with all new covers, and these are
are great covers too.
Oh,
Those
my
are beautiful.
Goodness. And you know the mystery genre. I mean, you delved deeply there at one point in time.
Yes.
And all I have to do is rewrite them, just make them a little more engaging and maybe make them a little older, because the protagonists are 17-year-old twins, and it's okay that for adults if you have 17-year-old protags, but they need to, some of the situations, some of the language needs to change so it's more adult D.
Yeah, we found that it's a fine line, because most of the readers of the young adult are older. So these aren't kids reading them. They're not meant for young adults. They're just fitting the tropes of young adult. That's two different things.
That's right. Because I have a young adult series that's on pre-order right now that starts on the 23rd. It launches, and I've put it in all young adult categories because it's clean. And I found that the readers are looking for there's no sex, the violence is extremely limited,
right,
and there's almost no swearing. So it's like, hey, this is what a lot of people are looking for. I mean, Christian romance is a massively successful genre right now, and as well as Western romance.
Yeah, it's also because Christian romance has predictability, which is welcomed, and that's what you want, where in the end it'll all work out. It's not going to be tragic in the end. And especially right now, even before coronavirus, there's a lot of stressors in life, and so you want to know certain things are going to happen. And also, that's pretty true of everything that Michael and I write together, that the main character runs towards fires, doesn't run away from them, believes in a solution, believes in working with others, and in the end is everything's going to work out.
Yeah. Justice has been delivered. I think that's the theme that Michael put from the very first Cartharian Gambit book.
Yeah. And I like that myself. I mean, I have enough stress. I don't really need to invite it in. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's really happening and what it's seeing or what it's reading. So no thanks.
I'm working with my son, but he likes grimdark. He writes dark, and I try to figure where I went wrong as a parent.
Yeah.
But still, some of that is like, geez, this is soul sucking. I don't want to do it. Yes, I touched my face. How about that? I just washed my hands. So all right, anyway. And I haven't left my room, so in days. But that's not my genre. I really like the justice. I like the justice delivered. I like the light humor. So when you rewrote those 4 books in Lyric Chronicles, what were you looking for specifically that you targeted and rewrote?
For one thing, I've been writing for 30 years, but I feel like I still get better every year. So, for one thing, even with the first 8, I feel like I can make it even smoother than it was the first time. But I didn't feel like the plot of those 4, the 9, 10, 11, 12, was as good as it could have been, and there weren't enough character scenes where they were doing something else, where it was a break and the characters you got to get to know the characters better. So I have ideas, and so I'm reworking that so that there's more of what people really like, which in the Lyric Chronicles, while they love the plot, what they really talk about are the characters consistently. It's less plot, very little plot, unless they don't like it. The only time would talk about it is if they don't like it. And what they really talk about are the relationships. So I'm going to go back and really make that stronger, but also straighten up the plot a little bit too, and just make it more fun.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing I'm shooting for, and I really don't know until I see it. Also, I wrote a reader magnet that was 17. That was no, it wasn't 7. It was like 12,000 words, and the first book was only 21,000. We were shooting for 30,000 words. So I'm going to combine that book 0 and book 1 and just call it 2 cases in one.
Yeah, Don't do a book zero. I paid for
Yeah,
that.
well, I did it as a
People
free
still
reader
ask me
magazine.
about it.
I was trying to, I did that before we wrote the series. In order to build that list, I had to give them something. So that there was a reason for that.
There, another good thing you pointed out, the original Lyra Chronicles are about 60,000 words a book. And recently we put out War Mage, which is 106,000, I think. And people loved it. And so that was another reason why I can go back to those original 8 and add maybe 10,000 words to each one, which is nice, healthy, because they were kind of short to begin with. So there's plenty of room to add to them to make them, to give you more without feeling like you're just, pounding away. And also, when I was originally writing it, there were scenes I just kind of didn't do because I had a deadline and it was already at 60. So I can pull those back in. So it'll make the story bigger, characters more. So having those 60,000 word books left me room.
My same intent with rewriting this series, making book 0, combine it with book 1, and 2 cases, and now it'll be the longest book in the whole series because all the rest came in right around 30,000. But those first 2 books, a little short.
Yeah, and this is, this podcast is mostly for authors. Something to think about is everybody finishes the first book. You always lose a certain percentage into 2, 3, whatever. So, if book 1 is long, then you've captured all those readers a little bit longer. And if you're in KU, that matters.
Yeah. And don't add fluff. I mean, it's got to add to the story. But like you said, your books 9 through 12, you we're almost too linear on your plot. I talked about that yesterday. You have a superhighway. You're going from point A to point B. There's your plot. And then, oh, by the way, there's a Stuckey's, and everybody loves Stuckey's. And these side roads and the ball of twine. And you've got to dive off because otherwise it's boring as hell. Everybody has driven through Nevada where you see the mountain in the distance and it's 50 miles away and you just drive and drive and drive and it seems like you're never getting there. And that's when you have a completely linear story with no subplots. You may think the characters are interesting, but they're not enough to drive that train.
Not enough,
You need to be able to dive off the road, do something else, and that also will help your flow. That's why you have exits off the interstate at regular intervals, except in Nevada, where you would rather die than keep driving.
You're thrilled to see an armadillo. And in the first 8 Lyra Chronicles, there was a major plot point that happened in each book that was may not have even been related to that one that was kind of overarching. And and people really like that. And exactly right. I have to go back to 9, 10, 11, 12 and add that so that appears too. So there should be one plot that's kind of in the background, but that is people are saying enough already. What's the answer? And give them a strong individual standalone something that happens in each book so that they feel like they had resolution at the end of the book.
Going through the plot and rewriting, somebody asked a question, what about audiobooks? Well, your audiobook is done. If you need to change something in the audiobook, then you're paying extra for it. I wanted to change something as simple as the title credits. My Metal Legion series, I wanted to put that in my name from my pen name. And we had that done at Podium or Tantor or Dreamscape. One of those companies did that series. And we asked, hey, we'd just like to change C.H. Gideon to Craig Martelle. That's it. No other changes. They said, hey, fine. It's going to cost you because we're going to have to redo it, all this. And it's like, oh, I'm not paying that. So if you had an audiobook done and you rewrite the series, guess what? Your audiobook is the old series. You need to either redo it with whatever you change, which means you need to track that stuff really closely, or you need to pay to have a whole new audiobook done. And if you do it under contract, it's going to cost you. You get an advance, and oh, by the way, we'll take some of that back because we got to redo your work. So yes, you can have different ones, but just understand the audiobook's going to be different than your book if you rewrite a series, unless you're willing to pay.
I got lucky. Yeah, I got lucky with the Lyra Chronicles. I think somewhere along the line, Michael and I realized we weren't done, so we didn't continue on audiobooks. We didn't do very much with that, if any. Don't remember. And so we're waiting until we've done all we can, and then we'll do audiobooks. And that's great, because at some point you do have to let a book go. I have had friends who have rewritten and rewritten, and you can kind of tell when you're doing it out of fear and when you see a possibility.
Yeah.
One you're excited about, and one the anxiety is rolling through you, and you keep wondering what if. That's if you're at home and you're wondering what's the difference. If you're excited about it and you can't wait to tell the story, great. If you're sitting there thinking, I hope this works, and worrying about the bills, you got something else going on, and you may need to walk away.
Yeah, hope is a lousy plan.
Yeah, hope is a great way to put it. Yeah. And you mentioned that I was deep in thrillers before, and I smiled. That's because I financially failed at thrillers spectacularly, and it was like the universe just does not want me in thrillers. So
Yes.
Walk away.
Yeah, poor Wallace Bucklebutt just didn't resonate with the fans.
No, and I mean, I threw so much money at that sucker. Phew. And no, you couldn't budge that dial. No. And then I write Lyra Chronicles, and all of a sudden it's like night and day, and nothing's changed except the Lyra Chronicles are basically a thriller with magic.
But the urban fantasy twist, that's what I'm writing now.
Yeah.
Is I write space thrillers. Oh, by the way, it's a space lawyer, but it's a thriller mystery.
Yeah. So all I did was add magic, and all of a sudden, right out of the gate, Lyra Chronicles. That was the first series. Michael said, how about her? I said, sure, because what I was doing wasn't working. And I ended up being where I was supposed to be all along, not realizing that's what it was. So also too, if somebody gives you an offer and what you're doing isn't working, go with it. And I also didn't tell him, what Michael was doing was working. So I didn't interrupt him with my 2 cents worth. I actually read Bethany Ann so I could follow his sentence pattern, and and I studied his tropes really carefully so I could adjust to those as well. So there actually probably are subtle differences between Wallace Jones and Lyra Barons.
Jones, yeah, that's right. It's not Bucklebutt. Yeah. Sorry.
And it made all the difference. Another thing too, if what I'm doing isn't working, why am I insisting on telling somebody else what I know? I mean, I had nothing to lose by just trying it his way and seeing what works and what doesn't. And so humility was required, and turned out to be really a good attribute.
Okay, cool. The trigger to rewrite, you've already addressed that. What kind of figures? I mean, because you're looking at here, I've got a new series that's doing well.
Yeah.
And I've got an old series that picked up because of the box set. So you have to split your time between the two.
Right.
What is the lucrative nature of that? So.
Well, you're asking sort of the wrong person, but I'll do my best. I have a math learning disability, for those who are wondering why I said that. And also I have a spreadsheet of a lot of books. So I don't necessarily pay attention to the micro because I'm not very good at it. And I have lots of really good people who support me who are good at it. So it's not like it's not being tended to. But anyway, the box set, I think, is bringing in, it's got to be bringing in 7,000 or 8,000, something like that a month. I might be a little off. I'm not sure. I think that's in the right range.
I think so. I think that's about it. Yeah.
And considering it was written in, started coming out in July of 2017. So, and it was earning, right. I remember we did a rapid release. And so we did 5 books in the first 45 days. And it was already earning 15,000. And so the fact that it earned all that money back then, and it's now doing it again, that's huge. And it's all profit, except for what marketing we're doing. And we were doing a reasonable amount, but it's not like we did some huge push.
Yeah.
I do think the covers that Jake has done for the box set are great. We're redoing the covers again with Jake for the new for all the books, and it's super hot. I tested out on Steve Campbell, and his thing was he said it should be hot enough that he wants to buy her a beer, and so it's Steve approved the new covers. They're super hot. I think we finally got it right.
Yeah, and that's J. Caleb Design for those who wonder.
Yeah,
that's Jake.
He does hot women who look like they could kick your ass, but you'd still want to buy them a beer.
Yeah, but keep your distance.
Wait to your ass.
Appropriately so. Keep your distance.
Right.
The series and the box set, and that's one thing with writing a series, rewriting a series. I refer back to my my mystery series, rewriting that, because I think we completely missed with the targeting the first time around. The air in here is bad. That's I don't have anything. I don't have fever or nothing. But I have to tell you, I love touching my face. That series, it's okay. So I'm going to rewrite it, and I think I can do all 9 books in a week. In a week's time, we have really, really sexy covers for them. Ryan Schwartz did an incredible job on those covers. They're eye-catching, and we might be able to hit a different demographic, just straight mystery as opposed to cozy mystery. And but I'm only going to commit so much time. I like the stories, but I'm not over the moon on, God, I love this series, like my Space Lawyer series. So I'll give it a shot, and we'll rerun it, and then take a look. And also, we didn't have audio done on those because they're only 30,000 words. So I'm going to redo the name. I had a pen name, and I'm going to put them in my name. So my name and Catherine Hurst, we wrote those together. Catherine did the heavy lifting on most of them. So we're just going to put those names on the covers, and that's what we have already. I just need to buckle down, rewrite them, and launch them and see what we get.
Yeah, and again, if you have a series that is not selling well, like the Wallace Jones series, be willing to kill it off. I mean, we're not saying rewrite something that never did well, see if you can finally kick it into action. Yeah. We're talking about something that was doing at least reasonably well, that you clearly see the issue, or something that's doing super well. The fans are saying we'd like more, and you absolutely know how you'd expand it. I mean, it's obvious to you, and you're having a joy doing it. Those are the reasons to do it. I mean, I spent thousands and thousands on trying to get Wallace Jones some love, and she's the redheaded stepchild.
It wasn't happening. Well, I'll tell you that the series I'm going to rewrite, it never did sell well. The first book did only okay, and only okay means like $1,000. It barely made back the cover costs and editing costs. And then the other books, the last book in the series that we published when I killed it, we had 24 books planned, and I killed it at 8 because the last book sold, I think, 12 copies.
So tell us why you think, because you're going against my theory. Tell us why you think those are worth rewriting and putting more money into. Lois would like to know too.
I targeted the wrong audience, completely the wrong audience, because cozy mystery readers are pretty specific at what they're looking for.
Very.
And these were not cozy mysteries. I thought they were. I thought other people I trusted, I thought they would fit. Well, they didn't. So going straight mystery to keep it more open, and adding a little more action and some other stuff to keep it flowing quickly and reading fast. I'll keep the prices down. We never priced them more than $2.99, but the 12 readers, I don't think no matter what we target, those 12 readers are, I mean, they may come back and reread them, but
they may love it.
I don't think we missed.
Even Wallace Jones has her devoted group that could probably still meet together under the 10 and under rule. And that's another thing to point out too. You can fly against the tropes at your own peril.
Yep.
And you know, you can talk about traditional or indie. You can't fly against the tropes in traditional land either. They'll tell you. I mean, I had an agent for a long time. They'll tell you this lacks what is expected in this type of book. That's how they would put it. What they really mean is you didn't put the tropes in there. So like urban fantasy, there should be, you have to set up the magic very, very quickly, like first or second paragraph. You have to hint at it so that they know this is what it is, and you have to set up the rules of the magic quickly. But you can't break the earth rules without explaining why. You can't just flippantly do it. And you have to stick to your own rules. And there has to be a battle of some sort between what affects the humans, even if your main character isn't, and the magic. And flaunt those rules at your own expense.
Yep. Well, and that's also another reason to rewrite. You could add in something as simple as it takes too long before getting into the tropes. Once readers get to chapter 5, they're on board. Well, that might tell you that maybe if you could rewrite 1 through 4 and keep readers on board till they hit to 5, then you got it. If you see a big drop off from book 1 to book 2, that might tell you, hey, book 1 is missing something, and then get a hold of those fans who stayed on board. And if you can find fans who left, ask them why. Why did you abandon this series? And get that input.
And it's usually in the reviews. You'll probably see it in the reviews as to exactly why.
Yeah.
Leela and Lois are busy at the front window at the moment. There's people walking.
Yes. Leela is a pit bull.
And she's howling in the background. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's howling as well now.
And Lois is a big dog. She's a big hound.
Yes. How dare someone walk in front of the house?
At least you know. At least you know.
If they keep it up, I'll go tap Lois. So, here they come. Here they come. Running outside. They're very busy. They found things to do in quarantine. They're very busy.
Good. So you sound very good for somebody who's had pneumonia for a month.
The second antibiotic, I almost have gotten to the point of being superstitious where I don't want to jinx it. But the second antibiotic seems to be working. And I've also been taking walks because I read in the Spanish flu, the patients that they put outside in the sunlight and the fresh air, they had a far lower mortality rate. So I've been taking that to heart. And buildings being built right across the road for me, so I can walk the equivalent of a 5K without running into anybody. And so, and I could stand to lose some weight. So I figure if I come out of this quarantine thinner, then win-win.
And there you go. Good. And they don't say don't go outside. I mean, you're not supposed to contact anybody, but you do.
Right.
You do need to do something for your health
and your mental,
physical well-being. I tried doing sit-ups this morning, and it was pretty grim. It was pretty grisly. So I ended up doing 20 crunches, and that was about all I was going to do because my heart started acting up. But geez, yes.
It took a pandemic to get me to walk regularly. Hopefully I'll lower the bar the next time, or keep doing this.
Yeah. Not have a bar, just go.
Yeah, not have a bar, just walk.
Yeah.
And if if we end up being quarantined long enough, maybe I'll be running by the time this is done.
Maybe get healthy first. So there we are. We talked about rewriting a series, rewriting a book. And we're talking series, because if you do nothing but standalones, I mean, if you're in love with a book, but it's not selling well, and you think that, and you've gotten some reviews that suggest that there's something wrong within the book, like you kill a dog within the first page or two, well then, woe be to you, and you deserve it. But a simple rewrite, if that could fix things, if you love the book, if it has potential, and also time investment. I'm looking at 1 week. I think 1 week is fine if I can rewrite those 9 books. It's 9 books, but it's only like 250,000 words. So we can take all 9 of those, kludge them together for a single box set later, an omnibus edition, as well as maybe even a single paperback. I think we can do 250,000 words in a single paperback, a little smaller font, fat as can be, and make it happen. And
Yeah,
it'd be a pretty
Amazon
cool
has a
paperback.
word. What's Amazon's word limit? Is it a page limit or a word limit?
It's a page limit. If you go with white pages, the white paper, you can get 822 pages. So 5 by 8, will that fit 250,000 words? May have to go to 6 by 9, or you can also print 8.5 by 11 that KDP print can handle.
Okay.
So I think we'll be able to do a single volume in print for the whole series, and I want to see that. Right now we don't have the paperbacks, and I'd like to see that. So another reason why I want to rewrite them and get them to a point where maybe we can sell them in audio if they start selling well, but at least get them an audience and get some appreciation for all the work we did in the first go on these, because we have interior artwork and everything. I mean, I don't want to see that go to waste.
And also find appropriate authors to share your work, not your buddies necessarily, but authors who really are in your specific lane. I'm in urban fantasy, but Shane Silvers and I do not have the same audience. So asking him to swap, it's probably not productive. You won't even see our also bots in each other's because we have 2 different audiences. So just because somebody is selling a lot of books and they're kind of in your genre, I can see where, like the thrillers that you're doing, that you've redone, you might want to be careful. Like David Barron's is probably not a good swap for you because he does Florida mysteries.
No,
it's thriller, but it's so far off.
Yeah, it's not crime. It's I mean, if you're an adult who likes Scooby-Doo or Nancy Drew or something like that, which is it's a completely different demographic.
But do get those newsletter swaps because it does make a big difference. But the other thing, another probably strong reason why people gave the Lyric Chronicles box set such a chance is because it's 99 cents, but it's getting people to notice it, and then they're picking it up in Kindle Unlimited. So it's been very lucrative, but it's from the Kindle Unlimited side because the entire 8 books are 99 cents on the buying it side. Frankly, a lot of people are reading it in Kindle Unlimited and then buying it because they like it so much and they want to own it. And those people are then jumping over to Alison Brownstone, and School of Necessary Magic, by the way, is back up towards the top. And that one's kind of old too. And that's YA, and it's suddenly jumped up. And that's because of Lyra, it feeds into School of Necessary Magic. Can't tell you why, can't give you a spoiler, but it does.
Yeah. Oh, somebody asked a question about shipping paperbacks. That's only for stuff they stock. So that's gonna hit traditional publishing and not us, because POD, they're still printing. The printing office still prints them. They're fully staffed, and then they ship them. And all of that is automated. There's not a whole lot of touching and going on there. So no, and there's me touching my face more. Of course.
I know. Come on, Martelle.
But don't you see those things on the internet? Please research them all the way, because that's what that issue is about. It's about stocking in the warehouses. They're going to stock more important items, and I concur with that completely. It's what you have to do. But print on demand, completely separate issue. It's not warehoused items. So if you send a paperback, I mean, it may take a little longer because just everybody's overworked at present, and but you can still order paperbacks. You can have paperbacks done. You can always go through Ingram. And actually, here's a secret: during the winter, Amazon stops doing their own printing and does it just for trad, and print on demand all goes over to Ingram. They subcontract it over. So it's you can get your stuff done. Don't worry about that. If there's a little bit of a lag, that's okay. But that's not a problem. And
sales are down. We noticed about 20%, I think, right now. So if you're noticing a drop in sales, it's not necessarily you. And I've been doing this long enough to know that this will too shall pass. You'll be okay. Try not to watch the numbers on a daily basis. I don't know that that's going to be very healthy. And make sure you're doing some other things. Go for a walk by yourself. I know a lot of you have little kids, and you're doing school and work all in the same building, and you're worried about going to the grocery store and everything else. Try and see if you can get a walk in and FaceTime with people. I've been FaceTiming with a lot of people. And yeah, we're all thinking of you, of each and every one of you. I did a post at Craig's request, and so I talked about service and asked people to put below what they were doing, and was amazed at the creative ways that our community is out there helping others in their community. I'm really proud of all of you guys. You really have stepped up, so you know, it really bodes well for us introverts. We put everything down and have gone out to help others. And to those of you who need our help, please reach out, you know, to us and to your neighbors. Don't sit at home thinking, I can figure this out. Find a Facebook group and post what it is you need. See if somebody can help you. Louis dropped off seltzer for me yesterday, the Offspring. Wiped it off with Clorox at the door and left it because, you know, because I had pneumonia at a very inopportune moment, it puts me in a high risk category. So we've gone to extremes. I'm all by myself with these two dogs.
Martha is not. Don't be
confused.
Despite Martha's claim that she's an introvert, do not be confused. She is not. She needs human company and lots of it.
That's true. People think I'm an introvert because when I'm in human company, I don't tend to talk a lot as much as the others. That could be because when you're around Martelle and Anderly, it's hard to get a word in edgewise.
Oh man, cuts me deep.
Yeah,
but sales being down, don't be alarmed.
Yeah.
But keep doing. Don't think, oh my God, my sales are down. I need to cancel all my ads. Oh my God, that's a way to make sure they go down further. Rewicker your ads because Facebook is slow as hell right now because I think it's overwhelmed.
Everybody's on it. Sure.
I think you have 1 billion people actively using Facebook, not just members. So,
and if you haven't started,
what you're targeting.
And if you haven't started a Facebook group, this is a good time to start one. I have very loyal followers because I have a group and I'm very active in it. And I encourage anybody I collaborate with, like Charlie Case or T.R. Campbell, to be in there as well. And we post about the books, but I mean, Charlie gave a recipe on red wine and Coke mixed together. And
do not trust Charlie's recipes.
Yeah, Charlie has a lot of recipes like that. He's actually a good cook. I can, you know, he's probably rolling his eyes right now, typing as fast as he can.
It's great. If you should try it, I'm going to put it right here.
And so I lost my train of thought. So back to you, Craig.
Okay, we're good. We talked about rewriting a series. We talked about some other things as well. But
somebody asked, how big is that dog? She is 90 pounds. She is part Great Pyrenees and Mystery and born deaf. She was a rescue from not great. She was kept in a crate for 11 months. So when I got her, she would fall asleep standing up and had never been around other dogs. So we had to kind of teach her how to play. And now she is a giant bundle of love. And glad to see your face. Well, I don't see your faces, so I can't say that.
Good dogs, absolutely. But rewriting, also the trigger, 2 different triggers for rewriting. One is financial viability, which you got to put on your business hat. And then the second one is personal engagement, as in, do you love this series or are you doing it out of fear? If you're like, oh my God, I've got these words, I've got to make them earn me money. Mine is ego driven because it's like, I know these are good stories, but they didn't sell. I know they should be selling. So that's my approach. I'm rewriting.
You've been doing this a while though, and you've got a pretty good handle on what works, what doesn't, why it's not working. Never been romantically involved with your series where you can't kill it because you love it. So I mean, you saying this isn't working, I think I know why, I'm going to fix it, I feel pretty confident then you're going to figure it out. But at the same time too, if this doesn't work this time, you'll be a little bit pissed off, but you'll walk away.
Oh, absolutely. And even though I'd spent a fair bit on all the new covers, they are very, very nice. I mean, Ryan took good care of me.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I can look at a cover in certain genres and I know they're at least going to get people to pick up the book just from the cover. And I can also see from looking at a cover that they're going to struggle. And it looks fairly good, but it's off. And so you have a thumbnail picture and somebody's often on their phone just scrolling like it's Tinder. Scroll to the left, scroll to the left, and you're trying to get them to stop.
I
And
wouldn't know what that is, but clearly you do.
Yes, I do, unsuccessfully, but I do. And maybe when I get out of quarantine, we'll take another crack at it. I hear that the Bachelor over 60 or 65, over 65 edition. So yes.
You have quite a few years.
Hello.
Quite a few years before that, though.
Yeah, I'm too young. Thank God. I'm still too young for something. Barely, but I still am. And so never fall so much in love with what you're doing that you can't walk away. And sometimes you're just gonna have to eat the money. But so I have spent a lot of money that got me nowhere, but I've made far more. And part of that is because I was willing to walk away.
But you
What if I
learned.
had said, yeah,
It's
what
all
if I
learning
said I
process.
put so much money into thrillers, I built this audience, I refuse to leave? Then I'd still probably be struggling.
Yeah, urban fantasy is where your niche is.
It's like the universe knew it ahead of me.
That's right. That's right. So there we are, rewriting a series. Tomorrow we have Nora Phoenix on, and she wrote me 7 things highly successful authors do. So Nora Phoenix, who is a highly successful author, and we have one right here with Martha Carr, and hopefully we all have a good time talking about that. Any other thing that comes to mind, because this is live and we don't stick to a script, we don't edit anything out. So when
this was all scripted.
So when we hit record, there we are. Bob's your uncle, and it does not look like a hairless cat down there. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.